consensus is one of the most important strategies that we have in our toolkit as organizers and activists. Consensus is a strategy for making decisions in a way that is egalitarian, in a way that takes everyone's opinion and everyone's ideas into account. It's a way of making sure that decisions aren't being made at the top and then propagated down. It's a chance for everyone to participate in the process of shaping decisions, of shaping goals, of charting the way that, that an organization, a group, a project is going to go. In practice, what consensus looks like is sitting people down together, hopefully physically in the same room, but sometimes over conference calls, sometimes in very large spaces. It can work at all different levels. But organizing decisions in a way that provide enough time and enough space for everyone to have their say, for everyone to actually put their cards out on the table and explain their concerns and their investment in the decision. And ultimately, reaching consensus is a difficult process. It's extraordinarily time-consuming. It's sometimes frustrating. But what you end up with in the end is a way forward that everyone can work with. You end up with a way forward that doesn't leave people feeling like, well, I just wasn't taken into account. Actually, what I think doesn't matter. In a consensus-based decision-making process, everyone's opinion matters. And that's absolutely key, because there's very little possibility of us building a better world if we're not making our decisions in a way that take everybody's opinions into account. And consensus is something that has very much become a part of the anarchist movement. It's something that's very much become a part of the way that anarchists organize. But it's not something that actually stemmed from anarchism originally. Consensus is a strategy that came, that sort of has dual roots, and one of those roots is in the Friends and Quaker community. There's a fantastic chapter in a book by David Graeber, who's an anarchist anthropologist, where he talks about sitting down and having a conversation with somebody who had been active in the Quaker movement for a long time, who is explaining their strategy of decision-making, and David is thinking, wow, this is exactly the same thing that we do in anarchism, and we have this thought that we invented this, but actually we didn't. It came from other places. It's been around for a long time. And it was also popularized in the United States, at least, during the civil rights struggle. Because you would have these situations, these large meetings, where people would be deciding to go out and execute a plan of action, and it was a situation where they might be asked to put their lives on the line. And you couldn't ask people to go out and put their lives on the line if they weren't in consensus, if they weren't in agreement that the action was necessary or justified or something that they really wanted to attach themselves to. And I think that same imperative of you can't ask someone to make a decision, you can't ask someone to act in a way that they're not in agreement with because their life is going to be on the line, has now been kind of propagated back into smaller decisions that affect our lives, definitely. And I think that's important. I think it's important to see that imperative for making decisions that people are in agreement with coming into our everyday lives.